outliving their money, and they need how to generate retirement income in their portfolio. You know, they put a strategy together. They took $400,000 of their original $700,000 and invested it evenly in company stock, corporate bonds, treasury bills, and real estate. Then they purchased a $300,000 immediate fixed annuity that generates $1,740 per month of income. And it's stability, and it's income they actually cannot outlive. So if we take the company stock and the CDs, it was paying them about $18,500 in income a year. Now when they diversified into from two types of investment into four types of investments, they actually raised their income from $18,500 to $33,000 on the same amount of money, and by diversifying it in multiple buckets, they've actually lowered their risk. And their largest income payer is actually guaranteed for both of their lives. So, diversification, greater stability, and higher income. This is a simple example of a plan that we can put together to help you make it through retirement. And there are other options available. Some, like life insurance, are even more tax favored. You know, your situation will depend on what you need. The fourth one is to prepare for the unexpected. You got to protect what you have. Long-term care, health care coverage, estates. The areas we'll address, will primarily focus on long-term care needs. And here's one of the reasons why. Cost of long-term care. The national average these days is over almost $98,000 per year for long-term care. We have Ohio in there, then you have New York and California, and Florida, where it's particularly expensive. But it varies from state to state, but it's always a fairly substantial numbers. In-home care and assisted living are also very expensive, and very few can afford to pay this out of pocket. So, and one of the things that one has to understand is that Medicare does not cover this. Here's a case study, where the assumption was made that Medicare covered. Again, starting off with a $750,000 portfolio. There's $45,000 was earmarked for annual withdrawals for income, and they accounted for a 3% annual inflation rate. And their $750,000 portfolio was targeted to survive till age 86. But what ended up happening is they ran into the problem where in the first few years these people ran into significant multi-$100,000 costs for long-term care, and it depleted their portfolio by half. So their $750,000 was almost down by half, down to $400,000. And at the amount they were taking out, suddenly the portfolio, instead of lasting to age 86 like they planned, actually ran out of money around age 77. So what are your options to prevent that from happening? Well, there's the self-insure piece. If you have enough money, you can do that. But as you can see from the previous example, for most people, it could be devastating in retirement. There's Medicaid, and then there's long-term care insurance, and life insurance can also be used to help with these plans. So healthcare costs are the other thing. If we take a look at how the healthcare costs have expanded, compare versus the rate of inflation, you can see that generally for most years, for the last 20 years, the rate of healthcare inflation has been generally significantly increased more than regular inflation. You know, if you do, again, happen to have healthcare insurance in retirement from your former employer, that's a wonderful benefit. You just have to make sure you have to understand that that benefit can be rescinded by the company, just as my GE example was earlier. So, estate conservation is not also people. You know, if you're worth more than $11 million, you can talk to us, and there's a lot we can do to help you with that. But it's also not the main reason people need trusts and wills. One of the biggest experience that I'm having these days, the biggest factor in the loss of estates is actually divorce. And it's not your divorce, it's actually your kid's divorce. You know, I had some clients who were working on trust work, and in the middle when they were working on it, wondering whether they really needed all this complexity, one of their husbands came home and said, "Well, I don't love you anymore, I don't want to be married to you, and I want to marry somebody else." And it kind of poked home, it actually emphasized the need of this type of planning, because without proper planning, the money that you worked hard for all your lives and that were going to your kids for their benefit could suddenly be benefiting some stranger's kids at a later date. By having proper paperwork in place, that can be avoided. So where do we go from here? We're confident that we've given you some important strategies that can help you, and we've made some decisions on how to develop an income stream to make your assets survive through retirement. So where do you go from here? Well, you get some help. You know, great journeys make great teams. There's Lewis and Clark. There's the Hillary Expedition to Everest. There's the Fellowship of the Ying, right? And there's Kirk and Spock from Star Trek. And what I want to do is, I am your Spock. I want to set you up to be your Kirk, and you tell me what you want to do. And as you go through all these strange new adventures in retirement, I can be your Spock to keep you, giving you your data, and keep you on track to have a successful retirement. And as a brief recap of the 5 things is, size up your current situation and sources of income, understand your distribution rules, develop a strategy, remember the buckets that we can refill, prepare for the unexpected. Long-term care is one of the largest problems people have in retirement, and then get some help. So are there any questions? Now please, we need to keep the questions into the scope of this presentation, and please try to not have any personal questions on your personal situation. We can discuss those in your one-on-one session. So, what's going to happen next? Our first meeting. What's going to happen? What will I learn that it's new? How long will it take? What should I bring? Will you try to sell me anything? How do you feel when it's over? Where will we do it? And what will the next step be? Well, for the first one, we could discuss a lot of things we can't discuss in this meeting. What will you learn that is new? Again, a lot that we can't discuss here, because we're going to ask each other some questions. How long will it take? Less than an hour. What should I bring? If you want to bring statements and your documents, that's great. If you don't want to bring anything, that's fine too. I won't try to sell you anything. And how will you feel when it's over? Well, you'll feel happy and smarter. When can we do it? Whenever it's convenient for both of us. And there are 3 possibilities that will happen at the end of this first meeting. One of the 3 possibilities are, we're going to love each other, we want to do business right now, and we'll have a start of a fabulous relationship. The third thing that could happen is, well, we decide that we'll meet at a future time, but it's not really time yet to move further. And the third thing that could happen is we hate each other, we'll call each other names and decide never to see each other again. One of those three things will happen. But if you do come, it's going to be great. You'll get a chance to talk, you'll learn some new ideas, you'll get to see where we work, you'll get to meet my team, and you'll learn something valuable, and you'll have fun and a good experience. Now, don't miss this chance. If you don't have any calendar, we can set a meeting today, and if we need to adjust it, we can adjust it later. You want to think about everything you hear today? That's a good point. But most people who do that, I mean, most people who see a conversation in a few days, they've forgotten 50% of what they've heard. In a few more days, they've forgotten 80% of it they heard. And it's better to work on this while everything's still fresh in your mind. Also, you say you already have an advisor. Well, that's good. I'm glad you have an advisor. Now, if you already have an advisor, you came to this meeting for some reason. So that's something that we probably need to discuss in the meeting and talk about. And and that will be something that will be be good in the future. But there's one thing here that I told you that this was going to be an educational workshop and I wasn't going to sell you on anything. But that's not really true. The one thing I do want to sell you on is I want to sell you on you. I want to sell that you can achieve your goals and you can take control of your future. Listen, retirement's confusing and it can be a dangerous time. You know, as I said at the start of the meeting, for 80 million Americans, this is absolutely uncharted water. There are totally new risks and many critical decisions that need to be made. But none of this is beyond you. You have the power to succeed. With knowledge, a solid plan, and some discipline, you can navigate through retirement safely and actually have some fun doing it. You've all worked hard and you deserve to enjoy this time of your lives. The ideas that can come from this workshop can help you tremendously. Then they can make the fear and stress go away because you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where it'll lead you. The best part is you're not alone. You do not have to do this journey alone. For the past 12 years, my team and I have had the privilege of helping hundreds of great people enjoy this wonderful time in their lives. And we'd love to help you. Thank you.